All right. So I got three things I want to show with you guys here on this channel, and you know, this channel is a bit of a open topics, right? Political, urban political, therapy, conversations, urban politics slash bit of a history channel. So I got three things I want to share with you guys here on this channel. You know, so first thing I'm gonna yeah, actually yes I am gonna let's start with what's in this box right here. This right here is something I've been waiting on, and it took a while for it to get here because ever since the death of that little girl from that FedEx driver, took place, the law in every state, within every city, county, a lot of these FedEx places did get sent search warrants. So there's been a lot of search warrants being sent out to these FedEx places, and a lot of employees you know, been losing their jobs lately after stuff that's being found because FedEx, obviously, from the sounds of it, doesn't look like FedEx, has been doing background checks, if you will. So there's that. But this finally arrived and everything, and what this is, pull this out here. This right here is an 1851 Navy Colt open top revolver, and it's a replica, and it's something that is really, really nice. I couldn't tell you how accurate in size this is. I do know this part from right here, right? The length is accurate, but from this part to this part, it needs to be a little bit drooped down. The barrel, I think, a little bit more rounder. Then you have the exit hole, which is small, so that would be bigger. You have your cylinder, that would be a little bit more bigger, and your handle, your grip, which would be more bigger right here. Now, by the time that this was in production being made, we were just exiting out of the single shot flint pistol. So that's why it still has that shape to it, how you hold like a flintlock pistol. I actually have a real flintlock pistol down in storage. One thing that is definitely not accurate, from a lot of the occult open top revolvers from that year that I seen, they didn't have that groove where you would load cartridges in the back, because back then, this wouldn't open. This wouldn't open yet. So you would load from the front. So you would put your powder, your ball, and you would use this lever to jam them, get them in there, right, each turn. Now, of course, it shoots 6, but you wouldn't load 6 into these. You would load 5. The reason for that is because there was no safety to this. So when grabbing, sometimes you wouldn't grab the handle. Sometimes you have people that would grab the lever here, that hammer, and that 6 shot could go off, hitting you in your foot, hitting you in your leg. And it was like that for quite a while, even with the modern revolvers that came 30 years after, or in the middle of the Civil War, going into the days of the Old West, and then your 1890s. And then by the time you get into your early, I would say, 1900s, going into the First World War, is when you started having those safeties. But even then, you would only load 5. And I have a modern revolver, a Rough Rider 22, that has the safety switch to where you can load 6, and the safety switch would be like on this point, and you wouldn't have to worry having a fire. I got 2 twin Pearl Grips Colt 45s that have One of them has like with the cartridge, you know, the um, this part right here, the cartridge that has like a designs almost something like this, but it's like in gold, flaked. And I'm not. You can load 6, but you're supposed to load 5 because that one doesn't have a safety on it. But what makes it different is that when you pull that back on that in particular Colt, you know it's gonna lock it. You know, but if you half pin it, half cock it to load it from the back, you know it can move, and you could load 6 if you wanted to because it won't fire at all when you load 6. So it has like some type of weird safety inside that Colt 45 somewhere in between here. But when you cock it back, you know, it'll be able to turn. But I haven't shot them. They're too nice for me to shoot, so I wouldn't. Um, so your chamber right here, your cartridge, right? It moves, but you have to move it manually yourself, like this. See, like that. Which is still really, really nice replica piece right here. And I bought this, you know, for my father, even though he's not here anymore. He has passed. He's been gone for going on a full year, and he passed from cancer. I wish this did have, you know, those moving parts. I'm not sure what type of metal alloy this is made out of, but it feels really good. I love the designs and everything. I wish the cartridge would actually move when cocking the hammer back. I wish this part would actually work. And if you shine this part into the light, the chamber, right, the cartridge, it's completely hollow inside. So that's really cool. It comes with a stand. It's not the best looking stand, honestly. Sometime in the near future, when I get some extra wood, I'm going to make my own stand, a better stand. Something that's going to be more suitable to this. Something that's going to be more suitable for this right here. And I really like this. Of course, the wood grips are plastic. I'm going to make real ones for it. I want it about as accurate as it can get. And these do come off, and you can put real ones in here because that's what those holes are for. Those are screw holes that you can get for those. Let's see what I can probably try to find online, eBay. But honestly, if I can't find anything, you know, I'm gonna make my own. I just need to get some spare wood. This right here, definitely nice. I like it. You know, it's a good buy. You know, I think I paid $40 in total, which isn't really a bad buy. You know, at all. I like it though. I really do. I wouldn't mind owning a real one of these. These are, you know, real ones are definitely expensive. They're out there, but they're super duper expensive. And you know, trying to come across one in person, gonna be hard to do. I know they got seller websites where you can buy real ones, but you know, some websites, you know, they range over $1,000, and you have some that stay within that $1,000 to $500 range. It depends on what you want to spend. I can see myself in the near future spending around the $1,000 to the $500 range for one. Of course, I would never shoot it though. You know, I would never shoot it. And I've seen some videos where, you know, where how historical it was, where, you know, the gunslingers would have to make their own bullets, and it's crazy how they would do that for these type of revolvers back then. You know, they would have to make their own with their own, you know, type of cartridge that was like paper, sort of, with the round balls in them and everything. So that was really, really cool. So I do appreciate this right here. You know, you can find something like this on Red Dead 2, even though they have like maybe a lot of the modern pistols. And of course, the Navy one, the actual Navy one, was different during World War II. No, why did I say World War II? Civil War. Civil War pistol, the revolver, was a lot more different. And they wanted something unique, but they wanted something that was going to be effective. Unfortunately, great design on paper, good design, poor execution though when it came to the quality of the power. And so they had one that you could find on, again, Red Dead 2 that's also in real life. So they have something similar to this, just like in real life, that you could find on RDR2, right? Your cartridge, your chamber here, would hold 5 or 6 revolver rounds, and you can switch it with the other switch that would shoot, I think, maybe 5 shotgun shells. And that's really what the Navy had back then with that. Unfortunately, because of that type of power from back then, and not having the type of technology that we have today, right, where you have revolvers that, the small handheld ones that can shoot shotgun shells, that are able to take it. But back then, with that, the barrel would blow. It could even blow in your hand, break your wrist. And it was something for its time, but unfortunately, it wasn't the best thing to shoot. And coming across those these days, honestly, man, good luck. I seen one on Pawn Stars. I'm pretty sure they got maybe a couple floating around in museums, but honestly, they really kind of melted those down or used them for spare parts to just make the regular revolvers out of back then. They had hybrids like this after the Civil War, so you could find a gunsmith that wasn't licensed, and people would take their guns right here because it's the ones they want to hold on to. Not too many people could afford the updated versions at that time, so they would take the cartridge, the chamber, if you will, and they would modern it to where you could load shells into it, and from the back at that time as well afterwards. That kind right there, they actually do make hybrids like these for that, that are modern, that are updated. That is kind right there I wouldn't mind owning. That kind right there I can see myself shooting, going out to the range and shooting that all day. But even then, I still wouldn't mind owning something like this, a realistic one, but have it for display in a nice case and everything and not shoot it. So I think I would rather own both, updated modern version, but also a real historical version as well. And this is something that is just truly unique, truly nice, really good. And, I of course, anybody that's a fan of like Comic Cons, cosplaying, this is really good for cosplaying. You're looking at, like I said, maybe around $35 to $40 in total. So for two of them, a good $100 is not bad. You would have to look for holsters for these. They make holsters specifically for these. You can't put these in this any regular old revolver holster though. It's not going to fit properly. I have real Western holsters hanging right there, and even some in the safe, and those are for your Rogue 22s, your Colt 45s, your modern Western revolvers after the Civil War, going into the late, of course, 1800s or what have you. But for ones like these, they're not going to fit properly like that. They do have them out there. So, again, anybody's a fan of cosplaying and stuff like that, these are, really, really good. For those that go like picture shoots when they have you dress up as Westerns, these are the kind that they use for props at times. Now, of course, for me, I got real. I got this one, plus I got real revolvers. So there's definitely that. I got this book, and I'm gonna share this book for last right here. This book's gonna be the last, because it has some stuff that I've been saying on this video for years, that I've been talking to people about for years. Something that, in school they're not gonna teach you, and we'll get to what that is, eventually. So what's in this box is another gift I did get for my father as well. I never had the money to buy him anything back then, and plus we didn't have the greatest relationship at the time. And I shared a lot already about that on this channel, so I'm not gonna repeat it. You know, if you guys are interested in what that is, you know, hey, just scroll through the videos, you know. But what this is, something that's really cool. This reminds me of what the mountain men pioneers would do. So what this is, it's a knife stand, but it comes with a knife, so it's a bear knife. So this right here is like a stand for it. You have like your kind of like your tree base, little log, antler horns right there, or some type of horns to go to an animal, deer or something, elk, who knows. I'm not familiar with my animals like that. You got like the stand for it. Put that right there, and it comes with this knife. It's a real knife. And it's really nice, but it's really for a decoration piece. Let me put this right here. It's a really good knife, and you got like this bear design right there, and of course the blade's dull. I wouldn't put a blade on it anyways. And you got a real engraving carving of a bear. My father really liked bears. He liked deers and everything out of that, because he was a real mountain man pioneer in his earlier years before he met my mother and everything and moved into like the cities. So you put it on the stand like this, and it's a really nice one, and it reminds me of the pioneers of the mountain men, you know, from back then, and you know, from paintings that we would see online or in art museums. And back when I was a kid, you know, back in elementary schools, from because I went to several different elementary schools as a kid. I went from McDowell, Riverside, Brown School. And when I was young, you know, back in the 90s with this, going into definitely the early 2000s, I would say 2005 at the most, because around that time I was hitting middle school anyways. We would have something called Pioneer Day, and they would take a group of us kids on a bus for a field trip for Pioneer Day, and we would meet these cosplayers, you know, these role players, people who are history buffs, you know, when it comes to pioneers, mountain men, and they would teach us and show us how, you know, how they lived back then, during that time, you know, like making their own clothes, their own weapons, how they would sleep, eat, you know, pretty much your basic, you know, how you would survive outdoors back then. And there would be this older guy. He'd be one of the more famous ones, and a lot of his stuff was really more legit than the cosplayers would have. And he would be the pioneer mountain man in Tennessee. And he was an older fella. I can't find anything on him online, unfortunately, when I put stuff in. But this older guy, you know, my father really took a liking to him and everything. And he just, every time that Pioneer Day would show up, or Career Day, my father went to go see that guy. You know, he just really enjoyed he enjoyed watching him, listening to him talk, and stuff like that. So, you know, there would be definitely that. And that thought process came to mind. You know, I think about the little things like that these days. But moving on to the last thing, we have the Native American experience in this book, and I'm going to start from the front. Let's start from the front. It has some good stuff in those little slipcover sleeves, like documents and stuff, or what have you. And I'm going to talk about this book as well. So, a lot of stuff in this book, right? It tells you how a lot of their tools were definitely made. A lot of it wasn't made out of wood or bone. A lot of it was made out of stone, out of rock. You had some of your first natives in here were workers And business owners and influencers from the state of New York to Ohio even worked with Abraham Lincoln right there. Um, you had so much, like, let me see here, like after, you know, like not all natives got ran into Canada. A lot of natives, after reservations were being took from them, after the Civil War, the treaties and everything, a lot of them would live in the mountains and caves, sculpting their own homes as well. A lot of those type of places are not meant to really be seen for the public, but a lot of those places do get destroyed. You did have a lot of trades between the pilgrims and natives as well. So not all natives were slaughtered by pilgrims, So there's that. You have let me see where this is. See this quick. Let me see. There's something in here that's interesting as well. It talks about there, of course, you did have black Native Americans. So here's one thing, black people didn't always come from Africa. You had black people that were black Native Americans. Right there. Right there. I am part Native and also part black. I am Chickasaw and Cherokee Indian, as well as being part black and also Italian. You had Mexican Indians as well. Those who came from Mexico to try to make a better life. It also has in this book, it talks about blacks, natives, and the Asians who were slaves in this country working together and mingled with each other as well. You had George Washington who hired the natives when it came to his war, the Revolutionary War. You had George Washington that hired the natives and said, hey, I need you guys to go undercover as redcoats. And they done their job. There is a picture somewhere in here of an Asian native. Again, they intermingled with each other, and back then, back then to the eyes of the white man, that was a huge process of a no-no back then. And here's an example: natives who with mixed children who were Asians. So in this country, you had 3 different types of slaves: natives, blacks, and Asians. I've been saying that for years, and a lot of people want to dismiss it, but if they do their proper research or history, you would definitely see that it happened. And you had natives that talk about natives being involved fighting in the Civil War. It does. These are documented pictures that they really don't want people to see at all. None at all, unfortunately. And that's really, really quite sad that they tried to hide history like that. Eskimos, talk about the Eskimos. Eskimos are also natives. They're also Indian as well. Talks about that in here. That's something I've been known about. I have a children's book. I believe I still have that children's book in storage. Going into something like that. You have native soldiers that were involved in World War I and World War II as well, that were hired by the government to help fight when it comes to the U.S. You have natives that were involved and helped build the first steam when it comes to locomotives as well. You know, when trying to really get them steam locomotives going, where they didn't have to use charcoal. Some of the first delivery services in the U.S. were created by Native Americans in here as well. Even, believe it or not, it even talks about sports. Football, hockey, baseball were all started by Native Americans. Unfortunately, history wants to discredit that and said it was created by white man. Again, these are things that they don't want people to know. And I'm glad I found this book. I found it at Goodwill. Brand new. Brand spanking new. For $3. And it comes with these, what are they? These little slip covers where you have stuff in them and everything. Really cool. Really cool stuff. So, for anybody that's really interested reading this book, checking it out, here it is right there. That you guys see for itself. There's the author right there. There's the name of it. Recommend checking it out. You know, there's the back. It talks about some really good history stuff that I've been saying on this channel for quite a long time, and I'm glad somebody came out with a book talking about that. You know, of course there's a lot more to it, which would be a little bit more longer, thicker book. But I'm glad that I got this. It is something that is definitely needed. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm out. Peace.